The rain was coming down in sheets as I stared out the window of my Seattle apartment, the Space Needle barely visible through the gray. I was 46, a software developer, and until a few weeks ago I thought I had it all. A beautiful wife, a comfortable life, and a future that stretched out before me like a well-paved road. My wife, Corwin, was a talented architect. We'd met at a design conference years ago and had been inseparable ever since. Or so I thought. It started subtly. Corwin began working late more often, citing a demanding new project at her firm. Dinners together became less frequent, and when we did eat together she seemed distant, her mind elsewhere. I chalked it up to stress, offering to help in any way I could, but she always brushed me off, saying I wouldn't understand the complexities of her work. Then came the business trips. First, it was a weekend in Portland for a site visit. Then a few days in San Francisco for a crucial client meeting. Each time she'd return exhausted but with a strange, almost manic energy. I tried to ignore the nagging feeling in my gut, the one that whispered that something was terribly wrong. One evening, while Corwin was supposedly at a conference in Denver, I decided to surprise her by cleaning out her car. It was a mess, as usual, filled with blueprints, coffee cups, and the detritus of a busy life. As I reached under the passenger seat, my hand brushed against something unexpected, a small, velvet box. My heart pounded as I pulled it out. Inside, nestled on satin, was a diamond necklace, one I definitely hadn't bought her. My hands trembled as I opened my laptop and logged into our shared bank account. I scrolled through the recent transactions, my eyes scanning for anything unusual. And then I saw it, a series of large withdrawals, all made in cash over the past few months. The amounts were significant, enough to raise serious questions. I spent the next few days in a daze trying to make sense of what I'd found. The necklace, the withdrawals, Corwin's increasingly erratic behavior, it all pointed to one horrifying conclusion. She was having an affair. I couldn't bring myself to confront her directly. Not yet. I needed proof, something concrete that would leave no room for denial. So I did something I never thought I was capable of. I hired a private investigator. The investigator, a gruff woman named Meredith, was surprisingly efficient. Within a week, she had a file full of photos and videos that confirmed my worst fears. Corwin wasn't attending conferences or client meetings. She was spending her nights with another man, a younger architect at her firm named Blaine. The photos were like a punch to the gut. Corwin, laughing and holding hands with Blaine, her eyes sparkling with a happiness I hadn't seen in years. They were staying at expensive hotels, dining at romantic restaurants, living a secret life right under my nose. The video was even worse. It showed Corwin and Blaine entering Blaine's apartment late at night, their bodies pressed close together. I watched it once, then twice, then slammed my laptop shut, unable to bear another second of their intimacy. The rage that coursed through me was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It was a white-hot, all-consuming fury that threatened to consume me whole. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out at anyone who crossed my path, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I needed to be smart, to be calculated. I decided to confront Corwin the night she returned from her latest business trip. I waited for her in the living room, the investigator's file spread out on the coffee table. When she walked in, her face lit up with a practiced smile. "Hi, honey, I missed you," she said, reaching out to hug me. I stepped back, avoiding her touch. "We need to talk, Corwin," I said, my voice cold and hard. Her smile faltered. "What's wrong?" she asked, her eyes narrowing. I gestured to the file on the table. "Take a look," I said. She hesitated for a moment, then walked over and opened the file. As she flipped through the photos, her face drained of color. The video played on the laptop, the sound muted but the images undeniable. What is this?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't play dumb, Corwin," I said, my voice rising. "I know about Blaine. I know about everything." She sank onto the couch, her body shaking. How did you find out?" she asked. "It doesn't matter," I said. "What matters is that you betrayed me, you lied to me. You destroyed our marriage." Tears streamed down her face as she began to plead for forgiveness. She claimed it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, that she still loved me, but I didn't believe her. The photos, the video, the lies, they were too much to overcome. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice firm. "I want you out of this apartment by tomorrow morning." She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance, but I was unmoved. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I couldn't spend another day, another minute with someone who had so callously betrayed me. The next morning, Corwin was gone. She left a note on the kitchen counter, a pathetic attempt at an apology. I crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. I spent the next few weeks in a haze of grief and anger. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything. I lost weight, my skin turned pale, and my eyes were constantly bloodshot. My friends tried to comfort me, but nothing seemed to help. Then one day Meredith called. "I have some more information for you," she said, her voice serious. "It's about Blaine. I met her at a coffee shop downtown. She handed me a new file, this one even thicker than the first. Blaine isn't who he says he is," she said. "He's a con artist. He targets wealthy, married women, seduces them, and then bleeds them dry." As I read through the file, my blood ran cold. Blaine had a long history of affairs, each one ending with the woman being financially ruined. He had a knack for spotting vulnerabilities, for exploiting weaknesses, for manipulating people into doing his bidding. And then I saw it. A photo of Blaine with another woman, a woman who looked strikingly familiar. It was Corwin's boss, the senior partner at her firm. The woman was significantly older than Corwin, but she was wealthy and powerful. It all clicked into place. Blaine hadn't just been having an affair with Corwin, he had been using her to get to her boss. He had been playing her all along. A wave of anger washed over me, but this time it wasn't directed at Corwin. It was directed at Blaine, the manipulative monster who had destroyed my life. I decided to take action. I forwarded the entire file to Corwin's boss, along with a detailed account of Blaine's activities. I knew it would be devastating for her, but I also knew she deserved to know the truth. The fallout was swift and brutal. Corwin's boss confronted Blaine, who denied everything at first, but when she presented him with the evidence, he crumbled. He was fired from the firm, his reputation in tatters. Corwin, meanwhile, was devastated. She had been so blinded by Blaine's charm that she hadn't seen him for who he really was. She had sacrificed her marriage, her career, and her reputation for a man who didn't care about her. I didn't take any pleasure in her pain. In fact, I felt a pang of sympathy for her. She had been a victim too, albeit a willing one. But my sympathy didn't extend to forgiveness. The damage had been done and there was no going back. I filed for divorce, and the proceedings were quick and painless. Corwin didn't contest anything. She simply signed the papers and disappeared from my life. I never saw her again. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved to another city, taken a job at a small firm, and was trying to rebuild her life. I hoped she succeeded. As for me, I slowly began to heal. I threw myself into my work, spent time with my friends, and started exploring new hobbies. I even started dating again, cautiously optimistic about the future. The scars of Corwin's betrayal would always be there, but they wouldn't define me. I had survived the storm, and I had emerged stronger and wiser. One evening, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a text message from an unknown number. It was a photo of Blaine, looking disheveled and defeated, standing outside a soup kitchen in another state. The caption read, "Karma is a bitch." I didn't know who had sent the message, but I smiled. Blaine had gotten what he deserved. And I had finally found peace. The rain had stopped, and a sliver of sunlight peeked through the clouds, illuminating the Space Needle in a golden glow. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't thought possible. The past was behind me and the future was waiting. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful.